Hello YouTube. If I look like garbage, that's because I've had the worst week of my life. To start this video out, I thought I would read a section of a book by Joey Kidney called Just Remember. There's a lot of good tidbits in this book, but I thought I'd just pick one to kind of match the lesson I have learned this week. It says, just remember, just because someone left your life doesn't mean yours needs to end because they aren't in it. Sometimes you just need to let go of how someone made you feel to remember what you actually deserve. So this week has been all about learning my worth again and how I deserve a lot of things and how I should, remember how much God loves me and has good things for me, and I'm trying to remember those things. It's hard to remember those things when you're in a season of heartbreak. Again, I feel like I never seem to get out of this season. I get out of it, I feel like I'm on top, and then something happens, and then I'm back into it. I feel things a lot deeper than what most people would feel. Things that most people normally would let go of in a couple days, it takes me about a week to a month, depending on what it was, the gravity of the situation, because I'm a deep thinker and I overthink things a lot, and when things affect me, they affect me, and I sometimes take to my social media to use them as an outlet to vent. When I'm feeling a certain type of way. I don't post anything for attention necessarily. I have a lot of things on there, and my story sometimes can get long and it's full of emotional things sometimes when I'm going through things, but it's not for anybody really to look at. It's just my space to vent, because sometimes it's hard and it becomes too much. It's hard to talk to people about it. But let me back up, because some people don't know about this, because I kept it secret, because people who know me well know that I've been through a lot of heartbreaks. I have been abused, I have been used, I have been called every name under the sun, I have been treated like an option, I have been a situationship, I guess you could say. I'd been people's dirty little secret. I've had to heal from soul ties. I've had a long history of just opening my heart up to the wrong people. So I've had a love-hate relationship with dating. I struggle with believing that what I want exists out there, because I've just been through so much, and it's hard for me to believe that all guys are not the same. I have decided, and I keep deciding this, but this time I'm making it real and official. I've decided to completely never get on dating apps ever again. My reason being, I keep meeting the same guy on those apps, and I always end up in the same season I'm in right now. So I'll start with, I guess I'll go back to September. So I went to Brown County with my cousin and my mom, and this was the end of September, and I just decided to be stupid again and open up Tinder, and I thought, you know what? Let's see what happens, and I paid for about a week's worth of extra benefits, and I got a super like from somebody that matched everything that I was looking for. From appearances perspectives, I guess, he said something about being Christian and wanting all these things that I wanted, so I went ahead and I swiped back on him, and he started the conversation, and we stayed up really late talking. At first, we thought we lost each other because I put something on my Tinder account that a bunch of people took offense to, and they reported it. And so Tinder had to re-verify I was who I was. And in that process, it unmatched me with my match. And he thought that I unmatched him, and I didn't. And when I finally got back on there, he was still on there. So we just kind of started talking back and forth on there for a while. We were staying up late, and it was worth it to me. I gave up my evenings for this individual, and I thought it was great. And you know, we related so well on so many things. We love the same music, the same movies. Eventually it went from talking on Tinder to on the phone with each other. Like, we started texting, and we would watch movies at the same time with each other from each other's houses, and we would chit chat on the phone as we would do that. And we met up for our first date around where I live at a restaurant, and we hit it off. We closed the restaurant down. I mean, they were cleaning up the restaurant when we were on our way out, and after that, we'd been hanging out every Saturday since then. And he would come to my house, and I would cook for him, and we would watch movies, and we would share our likes and dislikes and how we thought about this or that. And I brought up the topic of bringing him to my family for Thanksgiving, because I found out that he spends a lot of his holidays by himself because he doesn't have any living parents, and has siblings, but they go off and do their own things on the holidays. So I didn't like the idea of him being by himself. So I brought that up, and for safety reasons, the only person that really knew about all of this was my mom. I didn't really tell anyone else. My dad found out by accident because a co-worker of my mom's kind of spilled the beans when they were on a business trip. It wasn't to keep the guy secret. It wasn't to be cruel. It was because every time I get excited and I tell everybody about somebody, that's when it blows up in my face and I end up hurt again. So I was keeping him a secret for a reason. He was going to become public knowledge to my family by Thanksgiving. That was the plan. So, you know, and we were all excited about that. He was excited about it. He thought he wanted to go. He was on board with it. And I noticed when he was coming to my house, the more we hung out with each other, we weren't really getting any closer physically. Like, obviously, I'd like to wait till marriage to do all the other stuff that you're supposed to do with your significant other when you're married and stuff. But, you know, the basics. When you date, you hold hands, you kiss, you cuddle, things like that. And we weren't really progressing to that. And I think there were a lot of reasons why. I knew that if I didn't ask the question about it, it would have gotten worse. And eventually, I think what would have happened is it would have blown up in my face anyway if I didn't ask. So, last weekend, basically, I did not have the courage to ask him to his face. So, I drafted up a message and sent it to him over text message. And I finally got an answer the next day. And he finally told me, well, while you check all of my boxes, and this is what frustrates me, because every time I get excited and happy about somebody, there is a catch. Or they flat out reveal themselves as someone toxic. And in this case, he wasn't toxic. He didn't pull off any toxic behavior. And usually they do early on. And this guy did not have those toxic qualities. But anyway, he finally said, well, while you check all of my boxes and you're everything I'm looking for in a wife, I just don't feel any romantic connection. And I tried to ask him about it, and I asked him if it was physical, and he said, no, I think you're very beautiful. I just don't have that spark. And I get frustrated with the term spark because I feel like some people, and I'm not saying he did this, and I'm not saying he's a bad person for this. I feel like some people confuse that spark, and I like to feel that spark, don't get me wrong. I felt it before, and I kind of felt it with him, even though we hadn't really physically gotten close. But anyway, people confuse that with what the movies does, and they make it seem like it's supposed to be this magical thing. I know some of it boils down to chemistry, and, you know, if the chemistry's not there, it's not there. I didn't have it with a couple of guys in my past, and it never worked. So he said that to me, and I said, okay, well, maybe I should just give you some space so that you can pray about this and figure out with God what's going on. And he agreed, and kind of checked in with me a little bit a couple days after that. And then we went silent for a few days, and I made the plan to check in with him on Saturday. And so yesterday, Saturday, when it came up, I finally sent the message that took me a lot to send, and it was very long. And he just read it. He didn't answer me. So I sent up another message tonight, and he still didn't answer me. He read it, but didn't answer me. And I finally sent him another one, and then eventually he finally explained to me that he's not going to pursue a romantic relationship with me. He doesn't feel it. Finally said that, because I'd been in agony all week, and I wanted him to say something. I guess the last message I sent along lines was, do you still want me in your life, yes or no? You know, because I thought he could at least tell me that so that I can breathe. You know, because I'm losing sleep. I'm not eating very much. I'm very sad. I'm going through grief as if somebody died. And then on top of that, I'm dealing with problems with my grandfather. You know, he's not doing very well. He's got cancer, and he's not doing very well from it. And so that's not helping me. And we've got the holidays coming up, and I found out some things about the holidays that I'm not too happy about. You know, I got to deal with that. My social battery has to now be extended even more than I want it to be for Thanksgiving. And I thought maybe he would be there to at least text. Now, the only reason why I'm able to sit here and talk about this without bawling and melting into a puddle is because I've cried about this all week. And I'm now emotionally exhausted to the point that I have nothing left. Now, I'm not saying this to bash him. I'm not saying he's a horrible person. But he finally got back with me. And you know, and like I said, he said, you have all these qualities, but the connection's just not there. And so I responded back, and I used a voice memo because I wanted him to know that I wasn't angry. I was sad, and I'm still sad. You know, and I just said I wish that God would have made it so that we would work it out with each other, and it didn't happen. But I realized in that moment that I deserve somebody that's not going to shut down on me when the conversation gets serious. When you're in a relationship with somebody, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to talk about the uncomfortable things, and he wasn't willing to do that. And I made the conversation uncomfortable. That's why it got really weird in the beginning of the week, and then that's why he didn't really want to respond to me. Plus, I know from experience being on the other side of this when I was with my exes, I know how difficult it is to tell someone that you don't feel romantic feelings for them. I know it's hard, and that's probably also why he took a long time to answer me. And I know I'm worth more than that. I'm worth a response. I'm worth working things out with. I'm worth loving. I try to tell myself all these things. It's just really frustrating to finally meet someone that you get along with on so many levels. You like the same movies. You like the same music. You're both Christian. You both are conservative. You both believe in the same things, and you're on the same page, but then there's no spark, you know, and I think part of it is because I think he's afraid. I mean, there's fears behind that. I'm afraid too. I only say that because I watched his body language when he was over here, and he acted really scared when I'd get close to him, like very nervous and very scared. And I was scared too. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be scared if by some miracle I meet someone that I'm supposed to be with. I'm going to be scared. It is scary to be vulnerable, give your heart out, and be physical in any shape or form with someone for the first time. And, you know, I tried to equate it as nervousness for him, and it really wasn't. And, you know, the unfortunate thing is I kind of wish that maybe a week ago this would have been ended instead of the space being taken, because everything was up in the air and left unfinished for a whole week. And if we would have ended things last weekend, it would have spared me a whole week's worth of crap. I mean, yeah, I probably would have still had some healing to do like I'm healing right now, but I would have at least been a week ahead of time, a week ahead of schedule, if we had chosen to go our separate ways then. Of course, he didn't come over yesterday, and it was the first Saturday in 8 weeks that I didn't get to see him. And I'm heartbroken. You know, the little girl in me is screaming and crying because she feels abandoned. And I know that he didn't do it on purpose, but I just feel abandoned. I felt like I gave my heart away and still got trampled. My spirit and my heart got trampled on. And it's really hard for me at this point not to believe they're not all the same, because I keep running into the same brick wall every time I try to put myself out there. I get the same results. It's like the definition of insanity. And I don't know how else I'm supposed to meet people, because everyone at my church is either too young for me, or they're too old, or they have a lot of baggage that only God can fix, or they need to go fix on their own that I'm not equipped to handle. Or they just lack the maturity that I need. And this guy had the maturity. The only thing that he made me discover that he doesn't have is emotional maturity, and he needs that. He needs to learn that, I think. He's not a horrible person, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to bash him. I'm not here to... No one did anything wrong. That's where the frustration lies, is this was the one relationship where it wasn't flat out, bluntly obvious that he is no good for me. I need to walk away. The only thing that went wrong was right at the very end. That's the very frustrating part about this. Because if you look at my past track record, it was easy to say why I should have walked away from them or blocked that person. You know, this, that, and the other. It was easy for people on the outside looking in to see why some of those people were bad for me. In this case, it didn't go bad until right at the very end. And I'm devastated, and I'm in shock, and I'm sad that things didn't work out, because it would have been obvious. We had so much in common that we would just bring this together. And he believes in marrying your best friend like I do, and I felt like we were right there on the friendship side. We just were missing the physical side and the romantic side. And I don't know. I just don't know when or if or how I'm going to meet someone else that's just like him. I don't know. And it's going to take me a while. I know for a while I need to heal and take a complete break again. And I hate doing that. I'm so frustrated and tired of the dating breaks. I'm tired of all of it. It makes me deeply regret even doing anything this whole time. But I know there's something to learn. I know God has something for me to learn from this. And I think part of it is it's his way of showing me that not all of them are the same, and I should still keep my heart open, even though it's very hard for me to, because I put a lot of hope in this. It was very hopeful. I thought that this was going to be great, and it was going to work out, and it was going to be something that I could happily share with everyone when the time was right. And I even tried to, the message that I sent him to try to break the silence from our space was to suggest to slow down. I did what most women probably wouldn't do, because he seemed like a good guy, and there was no reason to really break it off. So I sent him a message suggesting that I slow down, and I apologized if I went too fast. And I said, I realized you have a lot on your plate. You know, he's a teacher. He also works freelance doing stuff for video games, and he had a lot on his plate. And he is older than me. He was older than me by 8 years. You know, I liked the idea that he was older than me. I liked the fact that he was more mature. The only thing he was lacking was here in the emotional side of things. I don't think he could handle it. I think that's why I got left on read towards the end of this, because he was not emotionally equipped to handle the depth of my heart. And that's the shame of this whole thing, is we had so much in common, but he just wasn't equipped to handle it. And I don't know. I'm just very shocked, sad, disappointed. But I know that I would have been even more disappointed had I not asked that question. I think if I didn't ask that question, we probably would have kept hanging out, and then his emotional fear and everything would have probably boiled over, and then I would have been blindsided, and I would have been even more hurt then than I would have been now, because who knows how much longer this would have gone on. Like, what if I brought him to my family Thanksgiving and then he devastates me? And then I got to tell my whole family, oh, well, never mind. That's why I didn't tell any of them about this. I'm only just now doing a video on it, because for a long time it was a secret, because I didn't know which way this was going to go. And obviously it went the way that I'm not disappointed but not surprised it went. You know, and I immediately today was my first day where I just sat at home for most of the day and just kind of became a vegetable. I haven't felt this kind of level of down and depressed since I was with the guy that kind of was a narcissist. Although this guy was not a narcissist. I'm talking about the guy that really abused me in 2019 and put me in a down place. Like, I let myself get this down. Unfortunately. And it's not his fault, it's mine. It's mine for getting my hopes up way too high and future projecting on him and putting the rose-colored glasses on and not seeing things for what they really were. And I asked the difficult question. And if I hadn't asked it, I think, like I said, it would have been a lot worse. And I think it's better to know this now than to let more of these dates go on and on and on and me get even closer. Because without even touching me, I developed a bond with him. It's been very hard not to talk to him every day, because you do get muscle memory. And in just 8 short weeks, we talked a lot. We started out in Tinder for a long time. It took me like 2 weeks before I was even comfortable enough. I had his phone number, but it took me like 2 weeks before I was even comfortable enough to allow us both to text each other, because I was very cautious. I was very cautious going into this for once. I did not make any mistakes that I've been making in the past. I didn't open up everything too quickly, and this is what really frustrates me about the whole thing. You know, and I think to some degree he's a little frustrated with himself. He wishes that he could have felt what he's missing with me, because he said I'm everything that he wants in a wife. And it's just sad. If I'm everything you want in a wife, then why am I not enough to choose? You know, and I know I deserve better, and I know I shouldn't sit and try to convince someone to choose me. And I probably went the extra mile by trying to suggest that we slow down, and I'm fully willing to meet him at his level, not realizing that if it's a romantic connection he's missing, slowing down isn't going to make that better or change it. You know, so anyway, I immediately today, as I was sitting home, I realized, you know what, I need to stop reading the fiction books I'm reading right now and switch over to the self-help books that have been sitting on my desk for the last month that I bought. This is by Case Kenny. It's called The Opposite of Settling. I just read chapter 1. He's really awesome. Got a lot of relationship books out there, and I think this will also help me. And the other book I want to read next is The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, because I know I need to let people be who they are. And I know looking back on this, things did start to get very weird the last week before I asked the question. His communication stopped being so consistent. It started to trail off. A lot of times he would just leave me on read, you know, and not really answer me. And he overthinks like I do, and he fixates. That's the thing, is we have the same tendencies. We weren't carbon copies of each other. Like, he was more private than I was about certain things, but like at the end of the day, we still had a lot of commonalities, and it makes no sense that this didn't work out to the next step and next level. And he's the one that swiped on me first on Tinder, and needless to say, I'm swearing the app's off. I'm sorry, but I am, because if I don't meet somebody like him, I end up getting the people that my family would literally disown me if I brought them home. I'm not going to go into details on what they look like or what kind of, you know, areas they're from, but they're people that are hard-nosed for me, because I know that, you know, family is important to me. And if my family doesn't somewhat like who I'm with, there's no need for me to even start anything with them, because then I'm just going to end up with a really miserable existence. If they don't like them, you know, then I got to hear about it all the time. So, you know, when I don't get somebody that is like him, and then there's one little catch, I get the ones that are way out of the realm of dating, and they're in the realm of my family would literally kill me if I brought them home as a partner. So, I don't know. Right now, I'm very hurt. Like, there's still a little pit in my chest. I mean, yeah, I feel a little bit lighter now that I got the final closure text from him, because I was waiting on that. I wanted him to say at least something to me so that I could breathe again and not be waiting in this limbo where I don't know whether I need to stay in his life or I need to go. So I'm really just bummed, and for a while I think I'm going to be. But I think now is the opportunity for me to go back to myself, get back to where I was before I met him, and go back to where I was spending a lot of time by myself and doing the stuff with my church and my friends. And when people invite me to do things, go do them, even if I don't feel like it. Because that's kind of what I was doing before. I just wasn't as depressed about it as I am now. And I think I need to hold my boundaries with bedtime now that I don't have anybody to stay up late and talk to anymore. Because I know talking to him some more is just going to cause more pain for me, and it's going to keep me in this hopeful sense of waiting for something that's never going to happen. The sad thing is, he's not a bad person. He's not a toxic person. I'm not going to block him. I don't want to block him, because there's no reason to. Not in this case. In all the other cases, absolutely. And they all are blocked. All my exes are blocked. This was like an almost relationship. And that's the biggest thing that I'm grieving is it was almost. And it was a very big almost. And then it just died. And I wasn't ready for it to die. And I literally this week have had such an emotionally exhausting week. One night coming home from work, while I was driving, I literally bawled my eyes out and I begged God not to take him away from me because he made me happy. And I'm not saying that I'm not happy, but it's like he made me happy in a way that I hadn't been happy in a long time. I'm sorry for getting emotional, but he made me happy in a way that I hadn't been happy in a long time. And I didn't think it was possible to be happy in that way. And it's hard for me to believe that that's really going to exist for me to the point that they stay and then they end up marrying me, because I literally thought that that was what was in front of me until it wasn't. It was only 8 weeks, but I'm telling you, the history we built in that short amount of time was a lot. You literally could get in my phone right now and go to the text thread and you can't get to the top. You're going to be scrolling for days. I mean, how can you spend so much time with somebody like that and invest so much time with them and they still not choose you? That's what I'm sad about. He's not a bad person. It's just, it's heartbreaking. It's just, that's the way life is. It's almost like I'm running on a treadmill and I've got the carrot and it's being dangled in front of me, and just when I'm about to grab it, it gets jerked from me. That's what this feels like, And all week, I've been on autopilot. I've just been existing. I've been doing the bare minimum to survive. And I went to a gathering with my family tonight and I just wasn't there. I wasn't there. I barely talked. I just sat there. I ate. I feel bad for the way that I was acting, but I was going through a lot of emotional turmoil like I am now. And now that it's out in the open, and it's going to be out in the open now that I'm putting it on my YouTube channel, everybody can now figure out what's been going on with me. So, I just felt the need to share it because it's cathartic for me to talk about these things. Because I don't think a lot of people do talk about the silent pain anymore online. And you never know who needs to hear it. You never know who can relate, who's going through it now. And I know what I deserve at the end of the day, and even he said that what I deserve. He even told me at the end of the message what I deserve. He said, you do deserve somebody that is just as invested in this as you are. And he's right, and he wasn't. He let work kind of take over, and I think he let his fears take over. And I think that's also playing a role in this. And that's just something he's going to have to work on with God and on his own. And I don't know. Eventually, I think I might even disconnect even further. I don't know. I haven't decided. I'm kind of torn because I still care about him, and I still was hoping that it didn't turn out this way. But I don't know. I don't want to see him move on. But the beauty of him in particular, though, is he's very private online. So even if he does move on, I don't think I'll be able to see it. I don't think he'll be public about it. I think it just depends on whoever he meets. So if he is and it bothers me that much, then I'll do something about it. But I think for right now, I should be okay. He doesn't really get online very much anyway. I'm just very mixed up right now. I think for right now, the biggest, healthiest thing to do is just to step back. Don't talk to him. Don't reach out. Take this time to heal. And then maybe when I'm grounded, see how I feel. I don't want to disconnect from him entirely, but, I don't know. We did so many things together. I mean, we even played Mario Kart together, and, we talked about his dog, and he talked about me meeting his dog eventually, and I just don't get it. I don't get how we can invest so much with each other and it still isn't enough to turn into a relationship. I was an almost, I'm either an almost, I'm a maybe, I'm the girl people meet before they meet their spouse. Because that's also what happens to me, is I'm always the one that they meet before they go meet someone that they end up marrying. And it's heartbreaking. Because I keep wondering, waiting, wishing, and hoping, when is it going to be my turn? I keep watching everybody else get what they want, and I'm just here on the sidelines. You know, I have a love-hate relationship with where I'm at. And part of me loves it because I don't have to deal with some of the stuff that some people are going through. And part of me hates it because I'm just here. I'm in a rental house that I can't even have an animal in. So I don't have a cat. I don't have my cat with me. And I can't get a dog. I'd love to get a dog, but can't. You know, I think those would help me. That'd be very healing for me to have an animal, because at least he's got a dog to go home to. So, I don't know. I know that to some degree it is hard on him, because he did allude to it in our messages. That, you know, he says, I hope you know that this isn't easy for me either. You know, it breaks my heart because, you know, I'm the one that had the feeling. I got the feeling he said he didn't have. I had it. You know, I felt like I could get closer to him, and I really liked him, and I thought things were going to work out. You know, I didn't tell many people because I wanted it to be secret until I knew it was safe to share. Because every time I get too sherry with it, that's when things blow up, is I jinx it by telling too many people. And that's why I kind of kept it a secret. But I can't keep the fact that I'm hurting a secret. I just can't. I have to share it with people that might be going through something similar, or, you know, I have to share my journey somehow. I'll never get better and I'll never heal if I don't start talking about it. And this has been so bad that I even scheduled another appointment with my EMDR therapist for Wednesday. I usually don't see her 2 times in a month, but this time I feel like it's necessary. I don't think I'm going to walk into this week the same way I walked into last week, because I at least have an answer, but I still have some healing to do. I need her to help me get emotionally ready for Thanksgiving, because now I'm going to be walking into it alone. I didn't think I was going to, but now I am. And it's got a lot of stress behind it. And I just need her to help me navigate this and remember who I am and my worth, because it's hard for me to remember that sometimes. Because I know he didn't mean it to come across this way, but it feels like I wasn't good enough for some reason. Because I wasn't good enough to be chosen as a girlfriend. I wasn't good enough to be chosen as a potential wife. I made all the qualities happen, but I still wasn't enough. And that's why it makes me really cautious and leery of wanting to try again. Because even when I was the whole package, I still wasn't enough, it felt like. And I know that's just my brain talking out of the last relationships I've had. It's just me doubting myself because it was it kind of was another failure, you know, and I feel like I'm starting over. But like Case Kenny says, I'm not starting over from zero. I'm starting over from experience. And it's hard for me to remember that sometimes. And it's been really hard not to talk to him too, because like I said, it's muscle memory. And I'm used to hearing good morning and good night. And it made my day to talk to him. It made my entire day. It made my entire week. I was happy. I was on top of the world when I heard from him. And I didn't mean to base how I felt on whether or not we interacted, but I got to that point because he became part of my life. He became a fixture in my life. And that's why I get so cautious letting people into my life, because it's like, I don't want to get so attached to you and then you leave and then I'm devastated like I am now. I got attached to him. I'm not going to lie. I liked having him in my life. I liked talking to him every day. He made me very happy. But yeah, this is what's been going on with me. I don't know what else to say. I'm at 34 minutes right now of footage. If you pray, just be praying for me. I really need it. I want to be excited for the holidays again. I want to be excited for Christmas. Right now, I just don't feel like looking forward to anything. I feel withdrawn, emotional. I don't know why. I just do. Like, nothing is exciting to me right now. And he put color into a lot of my world. And this is kind of like the wrong time to be going through this kind of thing, because this should be my favorite time of year. It always is. And I get so excited about it and for it. And, you know, I'm letting this person take that away from me, and I know I shouldn't. You know, I know it should still be mine. We both loved the movie Coraline too, and now I just can't even stomach watching it because I think about us when I watch it. Even though that was mine and my mom's movie before, it still doesn't make it hurt any less. I'll keep you guys updated on how I'm doing, but this is what I'm going through now, and I'm just trying to remember what I deserve. And the biggest takeaway from this is I know I deserve somebody that isn't going to go quiet on me, and I know I deserve somebody that isn't afraid to have the hard conversations and isn't going to back away or disappear on me just because the conversation gets hard. And I want someone that is a man of their word and does what they say, because there were a few things that he said he was going to do that he ended up not doing, and one of them was like, I like FaceTiming. I hope you're okay with being FaceTimed. I like to talk on the phone, and we never did that. Never once did we talk on the phone. And that does kind of break my heart that never happened. And I just feel like if he was feeling this about me, feeling this kind of doubt, I wish it would have gone on a little bit less than 8 weeks, because it's easier for me to cope and get over someone the less time I've spent with them. Because the guy that I tried to date before him that would disappear on me for days and hours at a time, it was easy to let him go. It was easy to tell him off and block him everywhere, because he told on himself and literally made it obvious that he was only treating me as an option. But this guy kind of blurred the lines a little bit and made me feel like a priority at times, and that's also what makes this very hard to let go of. And I'm not ready to fully let go, but for right now, I'm going to do the healing power it takes to not talk to him, as hard as that is. But anyway, if you pray, please pray for me and my family, because we really could use it. It's not just me, it's my grandfather, and it's just the age that I'm at, and I worry about not having someone in my life when my parents are gone or when my grandparents are gone. And that's the main reason why this is very devastating, because I thought I finally found someone that could potentially be in my life for that, in those chapters, and hold my heart. And it's like I literally gave my heart and it got dropped again, and I'm just crushed. So, you know, I got to get back into routine and boundaries, and I have to pretend that the last 8 weeks didn't happen, even though I don't want to. At some point I have to let them go and say goodbye to them. You know, I do have things that I usually do every holiday, and I'm going to have to get into doing them again, even if I don't want to. And it's just a lot. I'm very exhausted, and I have a lot on my mind still, but just keep me in your thoughts and prayers, and I'll post more content soon. Sorry, this was kind of a downer video. I just wanted to get it off my chest, because it's been weighing heavily on me for 8 weeks. So now's the time I can start removing the weight from my heart, slowly but surely, with time. So I'll talk to you guys some more later. Bye.